Shalom, shalom, shalom. You're highly welcome, my dear brothers and sisters out there. I'm glad that you just clicked to watch this message today. In today's message, actually, I want to talk about something that is very, very important and disturbing also sometimes, when it comes to the people, who are trying to push a certain people into what? Into bondage. Now, you need to be able to understand the tricks of the enemy. Now, I'm making this discussion, because I just want us to have this conversation like this, You see, just feel relaxed and think about this, what I'm talking about, You want to entrap somebody. You are being called the people of the book. Like I said, I've been making messages telling you that there are two kinds of Israelites on the planet Earth. Number one Israelite is the one whose name was being changed to Jacob, which you already know. And the other Israel is the one whose Israel is Israel. So the one whose name was being changed from Jacob to Israel is one, and that is the one that the word was being shown to. But the law, statutes, and commandment was now given to the one that was being called Israel. So now, you see that there are two. One, the word was being shown to it, and the other one, the law was being given to what? To it. So now, you need to be able to understand something, that even before the law was being given, before the law, there was a promise. So, you come down here, you as a spirit being. You as a spirit being, you came down here. And the moment you came down here as a spirit being, you are coming from eternity, you are coming from somewhere where something different is. It wasn't the law that was holding you in a place where you were before you came over here. It wasn't the law of Moses, because there was no, even Moses himself was not even yet being born when Moses himself was obeying something that was in the universe at the time, before even the law of Moses himself was being enacted. So there is something that was guiding the universe, and that is to say, the people who are coming on planet Earth. So, and the people of Abraham were abiding to that. So they were in accordance, they were abiding to that universal principle. You need to understand that they were in perfect harmony with what? With that universal principle. Although the universal principle was being broken, but they were more in what? In that universal principle, until now, one of a sudden now, 430 years after that, now there is another law which is coming through what? Which is coming through Moses. Now, the universal principle which is there, or the universal law which was guiding every being which were there, which Abraham himself was also part of, was there, and it was then that a promise has already been made. It was then, in that universal principle, or universal law, which is older than the one that was being given to Moses, because the one that was being given to Moses was being given to a specific people. So now, what happened is, they now, during the time of the universal law, before they broke it, that is, they broke it, so but then, before that time, now what happened is, a promise has already been made. So now, the promise is already in action, is already active, because it has already been made. Now, before the promise, now after the promise has been made, now 430 years, the interval, this is where the promise is. Now, 430 years after the promise has been made, the law of Moses was also being given. And the law of Moses was, at the right time it was being given, the same time, what happened? They broke it. They broke the same law. So now, the moment they broke the same law, which means they are all guilty, that is to say, their own promise now, is they are working on what? On a broken covenant. So now, the promise which has already been made, now everybody needs to do what? To be able to do what? To go through the promise which has already been made. So you, as a children of Abraham, you are a spirit that is coming from the time when that law, universal law, or universal principle, that is to say, the law that is guarding the earth, was already being active. That is to say, when that principle, or when that universal ordinances, just like the Igbos say, call it ordinary. That is to say, the something that is there already, something that has been there. It is the nature itself, the things just you're coming out, this thing is there already. So they call it ordinary. It is there already. So now, what happened is, when this ordinary was there, since it was there, it has always been there. So a promise was being made to them. So now what happened is, you are to follow the promise. Because even before the law was being given to you, the law which came 430 years was now being given to a certain people, which were being born. So now this law that is being given to you, now you see that came 430 years. Now you now see that people who are under this law of Moses, who forgot, or it's not that they forgot, but they don't really understand, who forgot to realize, they never realized that even Moses himself never needed the law. Moses himself never needed the law. But he was the one that was what? That was being called in Mount Sinai. And the table of stone was being given to him. And the law was being given to him. So now, Moses was the keeper of Jethro's, his father's in-law's sheep. Until he was, he came up there. That is to say, he went up and then there, he was now given the law. So now when he was being given the law, what happened now? He now wants to do what? Had a sheep now, which he is now leading to obey the law which was being given to him. Which he also testified that the people whom he was supposed to be leading were a stiff-necked people. He testified to them that they are stiff-necked, stubborn people. So, which means right there even, you saw that what the law has already been, they already broke the law even before before Moses came down from Mount. And now you see some entities down here, common sense. You see some entities down here, some beings down here, who are trying to draw you back to the law of Moses, which has already been broken. So they are working on a broken covenant, and whereas a promise is also in existence, which has already been made, which was made even before the law was being given to Moses. So now the promise is in action, and the law, the promise, remember, it is something that has been promised. So which means everybody who has, if you want to do what, if you follow the promise, you are going to do what? You are going to fulfill whatsoever that has already been said. Because this is the promise. You're seeing the promise, so you follow after the promise. So but you see, beings who are drawing you back under the law of Moses are drawing you back under something that has already been broken, which they themselves cannot keep. So they want you to go back onto something that has already been completely enslaving beings. The people of Abraham are spirits. So they are spirits which need to come into this dimension. So while they were coming from that spirit realm into this dimension, it was here they had an idea of what the law was all about. Because these are spirit beings. So this law is not actually meant for what? For the righteous. Because they are walking, this one is going this way, the other one is going that way. So Abraham is to follow the promise. Because before the law, Abraham had a universal principle which he was abiding to. Before this law was now being given. So now, it is Abraham's right, which is the righteous being now, which he is, to be able to do what? To go after the promise which was being made to them even before this law. So if you are drawing somebody back to the law of Moses, you are trapping that individual. You are doing what? You are doing more harm to that individual more than you are doing good to them. Now you check, for example, the people who Yahushua selected, the apostles, the 12 apostles. There is no single one of them who is what? Who is a follower of what? Of the law. All of them were under the universal principle. All of them were under that universal principle. That is to say, that's ordinary. That is to say, that ordinary, that law of nature from the onset. That is there, that does not go nowhere. So that law of nature is what all of them were under. So among them, now what happened is Yahushua chose 12. 12 of what? Of the disciples who were not keepers of the law of Moses. None of them that he chose were keepers of the law of Moses. You need to understand what happened. So now what happened is, after he had chosen those ones, at a time, Apostle Shaul, or I use the term Apostle Shaul, is the only one that is being recorded to be the only one that is following the law of Moses, and he was being elevated after the resurrection of Yahushua. That was when Apostle Shaul was being taken. And do you know the reason why Apostle Shaul was having problems with the people who were keeping the law, who were following Yahushua at the time? Because these people were universal principle holders. That is to say, they were people who were using, that is to say, they were keeping according to the law that is ordinary, that was before the law of Moses was being given. So these people were keeping it, and now they heard Yahushua, they saw Yahushua among themselves. So Yahushua taught them. So they accepted this way of life that Yahushua taught them. They came to Yahushua, they accepted. Yahushua called and said to this son of Zebedee, follow me. Said to this person, follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men. So he selected them, the ones that he wanted to walk with, among the people who were keeping the universal principles. Who were keeping the universal principles. So he had the ones that he selected to walk with him. So now when these people accepted to walk with him, that is to say, these people accepted his own way. These people now had a different ideology, a different way of life. So now they were following Yahushua. So Apostle, that is Paul, before his conversion, had problem because he was a keeper of the law. He had problem with these apostles converting people to the new faith. Because Paul, was somebody who was doing what? Who was protecting. Because Paul, was somebody who was trying to do what? To protect the law. He was protecting the law. But he never realized that there is something that supersedes the law itself, even at that time. You understand what is going on? So now the moment that Apostle Shaul heard that these people are doing what? Are doing this, then he will go to the high priest to be able to do what? To take order, or they will call him and be able to do what? To say, give him an order. And this Apostle Shaul at that time, he was really mad. He was really mad. Why? Because these people are converting. That is to say, these people are religious. That is to say, now they are following the way that is being shown to them by Yahushua. So now, since they are following this way now, Apostle Shaul now is going to what? Into a different place, into what? Into different places, into the synagogue where they are being taught. You know, they were not keeping, the fact that they went into the synagogue does not mean that they were going there just because to go and keep the law, Shabbat or Saturday or whatsoever. No. Saturday, what is Saturday? Now, I need to talk about this even. What is Saturday? What are you talking about Saturday? When you see Saturday is what? According to the Roman calendar or according to the Gregorian calendar. Now, you go back. The synagogue simply means a gathering place where they do gather. The elders of the people, I mean, just like in Igbo language you hear where they call Obi, a meeting place where they come and they be able to do what? To read and be able to know more. The elders of the people, everybody gathers in that particular place. So the people do go to that particular place to gather. You see? So now what happened is Apostle Shaul had problems with what? With the people. They were going even to the synagogue and everything to be able to do what? To pull these people out where they were doing what? Where they were learning more. That is to say, getting to know more about Yahushua. They had to pull them out and be able to do what? And take them to prison. You know, because they tried to say, oh, you talk about synagogue, then it was on Saturday, they went there. The people of Abraham knew nothing about no Saturday. Just take for example, Igbos do not use no Saturday of a thing. It's not among their own calendar. They only have 4 good days. 4 days make their own 1 week. So Saturday is something that is being gotten from the Roman calendar or Gregorian calendar or whatsoever lunar calendar which you people are talking about. The Igbos have Eke, Ori, Afo, These 4 days made up the whole of what you people call 1 week here. So they are going by that. Even better than what you people are using today as trying to say that you are going on a Shabbat on Saturday, because Saturday was not even in existence even during the time of Abraham. They had something that supersedes that. So how come you people try to do what? Draw somebody who is trying to go somewhere, because you are Abraham, you are on a journey to go to somewhere, and you are trying to pull them back to go under the law of Moses. You are in error. So now what happened is, you see that the moment that Apostle Paul, that is Paul, before he was being called, before he was being ordained as an apostle in the hand of the real apostles, because it was the apostles that named him apostle. So what I'm saying is, before his conversion, he had problems with the people who were following Yahushua. Why? Because Apostle Paul himself was somebody who was working hard to protect the law. He was working hard to protect the law. And by trying to protect the law, he was kicking against something that he knows nothing about. So that thing needed to be revealed to him, because he was doing these things out of ignorance. He was doing it out of ignorance. Did you realize what is going on? Apostle Shaul was doing it out of ignorance until in him it was being revealed what he was doing. He was actually kicking against what? Against the status quo. Against Yahushua himself. Because he was the one that selected these ones. And now the same being which was kicking against, which was bringing the apostles just because they believed on Yahushua, he was bringing them and then he was putting them to jail. The same apostle, now when his eyes were being opened and his ignorance were being shoved out from his eyes, now he can see clearly. Now he can see. He now saw things. He was now called for what? For the spirit beings, because you need to be able to understand that this, who Yahushua was with at the time, they were what? They were beings that were being made to be able to do what? To usher in and be able to do what? And bring people from that universal principle or the universal law into what? Into where freedom is what is everything. So now Apostle Shaul equally was being elevated to elevate the spirit, just as the same way that these beings were being elevated to elevate man from the what? From man's state, that is from that law that is guarding the universal principle, the universal beings, to what? To a spirit realm. So now Apostle Shaul was being elevated, his eyes was being opened to do what? To elevate the spirit to the spirit. So there are categories, there are levels of beings. So this is what is happening, my dear brothers and sisters out there. When you see somebody who said that you had to go back to the law of Moses, that individual is still blind. Before we go, just still want us to go briefly into the scripture, Galatians chapter number 4, verse number 21. It says, "Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do you not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons. The one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman." The other by a free woman. A bondmaid. Where was the bondmaid? Where was the law given? Now we're going to read it. Say, "But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he who of the free woman was by the promise." Free woman was by the promise. Are you a freeborn or are you a born somebody? Now we are going to see somebody. You're going to see where you belong to right here before you even go to the next dimension where a body has already been prepared. Now this thing is said, which things are an allegory? They are an allegory. For you have to use your mind. You see, for these are the two covenants. So it was an allegory. These are the two covenants. The one from Mount Sinai. Where was the law given? In Mount Sinai. So, which is the one that gathered to where? To bondage. So, if you are under the law of Moses, you are under bondage. It said, which gathered to bondage, which is Agar. Which is Agar. It is the law was being given in Mount Sinai and it gathered to bondage. So, people who are under the law are under bondage. For this Agar is Mount Sinai, which is in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem. So, it's answerable to what? To Jerusalem. Agar is answerable towards to Sarah, which is now and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So you see, this is the testimony of the apostles. This is the testimony of those who are what? Who are in Yahushua. Jerusalem, which is above, is the mother of all of them all. Because they are free beings. They are not under the law that was being given in Mount Sinai, because the people who are under that law are in bondage. They are in what? In bondage. Apostle Shaul's eyes were now open, and then he could see things that others could not. The people who are under the law, the same people who were under the same law that he was under, could not see. That was why, he had to start hammering them to be able to really bring and save some of them out. From what? From the chains which they themselves has already incurred to their own self. From their own ignorance. He had to save them from their own ignorance. You see what is going on? Are you of a bond or are you of a free woman? It is your decision. You decide where you want to belong to. If you want to be under the law, tell me. Did you not hear what the Bible said? Did you not hear it? That the law which is in Agar, which was being given in Mount Sinai, is in bondage with her own children. You are going to somewhere. Your spirit, this is not the end of it. So you're going to be born under a bondwoman. But if you are a free being, you are going to be born of a free being. This is why it is an allegory. An allegory. To give you a better understanding. The people who knows what the Bible is talking about, who knows what the scripture is saying, will make you understand. So that you can see the scripture from the right perspective. This is the reason why Apostle Shaul's eyes was being opened. And when his eyes opened, he was at war with his own fellow people who were keeping the Torah. He was at war with them. You don't understand what was happening. Among the apostles of Yahushua, and none of them who was keeping those laws. That is why when he went on Shabbat and they were picking corn, they said to him, "Oh, Master, your followers are doing this." He said to them, "Let these people be. That he is there with them. What are you people talking about? Let these people be." They say he was breaking the law. This is to show you that they never kept the law. The apostles never kept no law. Don't you understand what was happening? Paul is a different person after his conversion. Before his conversion, he was somebody different. This is the reason why you need to come to that place of knowledge, to that higher dimension. I'm here to uplift you. You really know, some of you can see me. Now, when your eyes is open, you will see where I'm at, where I'm trying to bring you to, and where I am at. Because some of you are too blind to see at this time. But you will see when